All right, let's dive into something really cool today, something a bit different. We're going to Finland, at least virtually.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, Finland's educational system's kind of legendary, right? Always topping those global rankings.
They're definitely doing something right.
Right. And we're focusing specifically on their approach to, well, leadership and education. I stumbled across this website, actually. It's for the 12th International Symposium on Creative Education, Education Leadership Summit.
Okay.
It's hosted by CCE Finland, happening, get this, May 4th through the 9th in 2025.
2025, that's a ways off.
Yeah, but it's a residential program, not just a quick conference held in Helsinki and Lahti. Like, imagine being immersed in Finnish culture while, dissecting their education system.
Yeah, that's a pretty immersive experience.
I know. There's even an education hackathon, which sounds incredible.
Mm.
But first, we need to understand what makes their leadership principles so unique, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is it about their approach that everyone's buzzing about?
Yeah, good point.
And most importantly, what can we, regardless of where we are in the world, what can we actually learn from them?
Yeah, practical takeaways. I like it.
So the symposium's theme is Empowering Minds, Igniting Futures. It's a pretty catchy theme, right? But I'm curious, from your perspective, what jumps out at you about that framing, especially when we're talking leadership?
Empowering minds, igniting futures. It's interesting. I think it subtly highlights a shift we're seeing in how we think about leadership, especially in education.
Oh, okay. Elaborate on that a bit.
Well, traditional leadership, it's often about managing, controlling.
I agree. A top-down kind of structure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this theme, it suggests a move towards something more dynamic, like empowering individuals to actually create their own futures.
I see.
It's about nurturing a growth mindset, not just in students, but in the educators themselves.
Right, like giving everyone the tools to be the best they can be.
Exactly.
Okay, that's really insightful. And speaking of thought-provoking ideas, the symposium actually lays out a driving question. What does it take to become an effective leader? Seems straightforward, but I have a feeling in the context of Finnish education, there's more to it, right? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. It makes us reconsider what effective leadership even means, especially in education.
Yeah, like what does it actually look like?
Right. And I think in Finland, they place a huge emphasis on collaboration, shared decision-making.
Not just the principal calling all the shots.
No, it's more about creating a distributed leadership model, one where teachers genuinely have a voice and autonomy in shaping their schools.
Fascinating. So it's not just the principal is the sole leader model. How does that translate into actual practice? What are some concrete examples of how they foster that shared leadership?
Well, a great example is this idea of pedagogical leadership.
Okay, pedagogical leadership, I've heard that term before. What's the Finnish take on it?
It's central to their whole approach, and it emphasizes that every teacher is a leader in their own classroom.
Makes sense.
They have the freedom and responsibility to design their curriculum, choose their teaching methods, even assess their students based on individual needs.
Wow, that's a lot of autonomy.
It is.
Seems like that would require a ton of trust, right? How do Finnish schools build that trust between teachers, administrators, even parents?
Trust is key. You're absolutely right. And they invest heavily in building strong relationships, open communication.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Like, teachers have constant opportunities to collaborate with each other, share best practices, learn from their experiences.
I see.
It cultivates this sense of collective responsibility and continuous improvement.
So collaboration, shared decision-making, trust, those seem to be recurring themes here.
Definitely.
Now let's dig into some of the symposium's topics. One that caught my eye is fostering teacher leadership and empowerment. That seems to tie in perfectly with what we've been talking about. Why do you think that topic is so crucial, especially in the Finnish model?
It underscores how important it is to invest in teachers' professional growth and, their leadership capacity.
Right, going beyond just the day-to-day teaching.
Exactly. In Finland, teachers are seen as true experts in their field.
Okay.
They're given so many opportunities for development, mentoring, even research.
Wow, so it's not just about improving their teaching skills, it's about empowering them as leaders.
Precisely. This not only enhances their skills, but also empowers them to take on those leadership roles within their schools and their communities.
It sounds like they're creating a culture where teachers aren't just instructors, but like active agents of change in the system.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
Now, another topic that I found super intriguing is the neurological basis for effective leadership. It seems like a bridge between neuroscience and education. What's the connection there?
That's where it gets really fascinating. This topic really digs into the science behind effective leadership.
Okay, like literally what's happening in the brain.
Yeah. It explores how our brains respond to different leadership styles, how emotions actually influence decision making.
Interesting.
And in Finnish schools, there's a growing awareness of the importance of creating environments that are not only academically stimulating, but also emotionally supportive.
So it's about the whole person, not just academic
Okay.
performance.
Absolutely.
So it's not just what's happening in the classroom, it's about the whole school environment, right? Like the
Yeah,
holistic approach to well-being.
exactly. It's about acknowledging how stress, anxiety, even positive emotions can affect learning and behavior.
Hmm.
And by creating a supportive culture, one based on empathy, Finnish schools aren't just aiming for academic success, they're fostering, social and emotional growth too.
I love that, nurturing the whole child.
Yeah.
And speaking of seeing these principles in action, that's what's so cool about this residential program, right? It's
Yeah.
a chance to experience Finnish education firsthand, seeing those leadership principles in practice.
It's like a real-life glimpse into their system, a chance to observe it all in its natural habitat, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Okay, I like that.
Picture this. You're walking into a Finnish school, not as a tourist, but as an active participant,
Yeah.
observing how teachers interact, how they build those collaborative, engaging environments we talked about.
I'm imagining a classroom where students are like really engaged, asking questions, sharing their ideas, even challenging the teacher's perspective.
You got it.
Yeah.
And it's so different from the traditional lecture-style format, the one many of us are accustomed to.
Huge difference. So in Finland, there's this big emphasis on student-centered learning, right?
Absolutely. Students are encouraged to own their learning, explore their passions, develop that critical thinking.
I see.
And the teacher's role shifts too. They become facilitators, guiding, supporting students on those individual learning journeys.
Makes sense. Now, another interesting part of this residential program is the visits to, well, they call them innovative learning environments.
Mm-hmm.
I'm especially curious about the visit to a comprehensive Finnish school. Can you tell us a bit about what makes that type of school unique and what participants might take away from seeing it firsthand?
A comprehensive school in Finland, it's not quite like what you'd find in other countries.
How so?
Well, it's essentially a unified system covering all levels of compulsory education,
Okay.
from grades 1 through 9, all in one school. And what's really striking is that every student, no matter their background or their abilities, attends the same school.
That's a big difference from the tracking systems we often see,
Mm.
where students are kind of divided based on, well, perceived abilities.
Yeah, exactly.
So how does that impact the learning environment, the whole culture of the school?
It cultivates a much more equitable and inclusive learning environment. Every student has access to the same high-quality education and the same opportunities. There's no sense of, hierarchy or separation based on academic achievement.
That's pretty powerful. It speaks volumes about their commitment to equity. Makes me wonder, though, how do they address those diverse learning needs within such a mixed group of students? Teachers must be really skilled at differentiating instruction, right? Like personalizing learning.
You're spot on. Finnish teachers are highly trained in differentiated instruction. They recognize that every student learns differently at their own pace.
Yeah, no two students are the same.
Right? And they use a variety of teaching methods, assessments to really cater to those individual needs.
It's all starting to come together now. The collaboration, trust, teacher leadership, student-centered learning, commitment to equity. It's a pretty holistic approach, and it seems to be working. But let's shift gears a bit. Artificial intelligence, it's a hot topic these days, and this symposium has a session on rising AI and its effect on leadership roles. Why is this conversation so crucial for education leaders right now?
Well, AI's impact on education, it's going to be huge. And
Yeah.
it's essential for leaders to understand both its potential, the good, and, the potential challenges.
So it's not about replacing teachers with robots, right?
Definitely not. It's about finding ways for AI to complement human intelligence, to support it, not take over.
Okay, so what does that look like practically?
Imagine tools that personalize learning for each student, giving tailored feedback and support, or tools that help teachers identify struggling students, provide those targeted interventions.
That sounds promising. But I imagine there are concerns too, right? The ethical implications of using AI in education. How do we ensure it's used responsibly, that it doesn't worsen existing inequalities?
That's a crucial point. We need to be mindful of biases in algorithms, data privacy, the potential for AI to, actually amplify social and economic disparities.
It's a complex issue for sure.
It is, and it needs ongoing discussion, careful consideration, especially as this technology keeps evolving. I appreciate that the symposium is bringing this to the forefront. Now, let's switch gears again and talk about the Education Hackathon in Lottie. Sounds like an amazing opportunity to put creative problem solving to the test.
It does.
Hackathons are known for their energy, their innovation, bringing people together, diverse minds to tackle real-world problems.
So in this case, it's about finding solutions to, well, what kind of problems in education?
Things like boosting student engagement, fostering inclusion, using technology more effectively, really putting those creative minds to work.
What makes this particular hackathon stand out, do you think? What kind of impact could it have?
Well, it's happening in Lottie, a city known for its innovative spirit, its commitment to sustainability,
Yeah.
the perfect setting for shaping the future of education.
A hub of creativity and, like, forward thinking.
Exactly. And it's bringing together educators, researchers, tech people, even students from all over the world. It's about sharing ideas, experimenting with new approaches, developing solutions that can really make a difference in learners' lives.
Sounds like a powerful mix of, well, Finnish ingenuity and global collaboration.
Precisely.
It's pretty inspiring to see how Finland embraces like this whole spirit of innovation and collaboration in education. And the fact that they're sharing those insights through events like this symposium is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It shows their belief in, well, the power of collective wisdom, learning from each other. It's not a, here's the Finnish model, take it or leave it kind of thing.
Right.
It's more like, hey, let's work together, share what we know, and find solutions that actually benefit everyone.
That's a powerful message. So thinking big picture here, what are the key takeaways for educators? How can we apply those Finnish insights to our own schools, our own classrooms, regardless of where we are?
That's the question, right? It's about finding inspiration from their model
Yeah.
and figuring out how to adapt it to our own contexts.
Yeah.
Remember those core principles we talked about. Collaboration, trust, teacher leadership, student-centered learning, focusing on well-being. These are all things that can be woven into any educational setting.
Okay, so let's get practical for a second. If you could give one piece of advice to educators listening, something they could try tomorrow to bring a bit of Finland into their practice, what would it be?
I'd say just start a conversation. Get your colleagues together, your students, even parents, and have a real open dialogue about what kind of learning environment you want. Ask yourselves, what are our shared values? What are we already good at?
Okay.
And where can we, learn and grow together?
Sounds simple, but I bet that open communication can be really powerful. It's about building that shared ownership, right?
Exactly. And it's about that culture of trust and respect where everyone feels safe to share their ideas. Don't forget, in Finland, even the students have a say in their education.
That's a good reminder. It's not about orders from the top. It's about giving everyone in the school a chance to participate, to shape things. Now, before we wrap up, one final question for you. If you had to capture the essence of Finnish educational leadership, just a few words, what would they be?
Leading with empathy, empowering with trust, and inspiring with innovation.
Wow, that's really beautiful. I love that. It sums up what we've been exploring so well. A huge thank you to you for sharing your insights today. And to all our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Finland's world of education and leadership.
You're very welcome.
We hope you've found some valuable ideas here, some inspiration to take back to your own work. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep igniting those futures.